So uh, let's keep moving. Okay. The next concept I want you to know is basically the concept of tables, right? So what I'm gonna do is let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy some code, which, or let's, in fact, you know what? Let me create a table here, right? So we are here. Let's trying to understand the concept of tables, right? Very, very important, right? So let's go ahead, table tag, no points for guessing, it's just table, right? So I'm gonna say table, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and basically complete that tag, right? Here we go. And then table has a header and table has basically a lot of rows, right? So what we can do is basically then create that. Now we could actually ask like Gemini, right? Hey, give me a simple table. So let's actually do that. So I'm gonna go to Gemini, or not even Gemini. Let's go to Google AI search and say HTML table example, right? And notice Gemini. So now let me just copy this, right? So let's see, copy, right? And go ahead and paste it here instead of typing, right? And then I'm just going to explain what it is, right? So notice here we have table, right? And then within the table, we are saying that the table needs to have a border of 1. And what we are saying is there needs to be a table row, right? And then within that, we're going to have like table heading. And then, so actually, let's run it. That way, it's much easier to understand. So notice we have table header, right? And each header is like company, contact, country. And within that, we are saying, okay, this is the company, this is the contact, and this is the country, right? Fairly straightforward. So if you see here, these are TR, which is table row, and these are table heading, right? They are like shown in like bold. And then we also have like table row and table data, right? So this is basically the table data, right? So that's basically the table tag. Let me show you another way, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and paste another code here. So this is similar, right? Again, table, but notice here, there's additional sort of a T head, a table head tag. So I'm gonna run that and notice here, right? We see that now, because we didn't mention the border, so I can again go back and pick up that border from here, right? And have that border where we are here, right? And run. So notice that we have border, right? But here what we are saying is, okay, the width needs to be 100%, and then this is what it is. So ID first name, last name, right? ID first name, last name, and ID is 1, John Smith, right? And so on. So table fairly straightforward. And what we have learned, another attribute is basically style to be 100%. What we can do is actually let's just remove and see what happens here, right? Really quickly. So I'm gonna take away this just to show you what happens. Now notice how this table is all cramped, right? But if we add like the style, right, and say that, notice it's well laid out, right? And then we can also, of course, add the border here and we get the border, right? So pretty interesting, isn't it? All right, so let's keep moving, right? Now, what we can do is let's try to get the value of the employee ID that the user enters here, right here, right? And then let's now we are getting into some sort of uh, you can say into JavaScript era or area, right? So again, we want to make this together, right? Because just on its own, HTML may not be that much useful. Just on its own, CSS may not be that much useful. They all become very useful when you put them together, right? So HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So let's keep going. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's try to, create like a function, and then all the JavaScript that you write is written within script tag. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and create a function or create a script tag, script, right? And script. So whatever I write here needs to be JavaScript and copy some code here. And let's see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'm saying is when we actually, so I'm going to go ahead and run it. Notice nothing really happens here, right? So what we have written JavaScript here for is a send data function, which is going to send data to the backend. We are later going to put together this application where actually the data comes from a backend and is updated here, right? But for now, let's try to learn like just the basics of JavaScript, right? So let's go ahead and see what is happening here. So what we are saying is console.log. This is the information that needs to be sent to the database, right? And then we are also going to go ahead and alert the employee ID that is entered by the user, right? So I wrote this, right? And let's go ahead and run it. Okay. Notice nothing really happens if I add an employee ID, whatever, right? Search employee, nothing is really happening, right? No alert or anything. You know why? Because we never called this function, right? So earlier on the click of a button, remember this one? We called this function saying, hey, why did you click this button, right? So similarly here, I'm going to call this function. So I'm going to say on click, right? On click, and we're gonna like similarly to this one, right? We're gonna say on click is equal to, and then call the send data function and complete, right? So now if we, so now if we just go ahead and run this, okay, let's see what happens, right? And I'm gonna bring up the console also just to show you how it prints this log message as well. But for now, let's go ahead and 123 search employee. Notice that it says 123, right? And basically, so let's say this one. So notice what's happening here, right? So the function send data gets called, right? And uh, the log information will be logged, which we'll see later. And then what we are saying is document that get elements by name. So what is the get elements by name? So you're gonna get all the elements by name, where the name is employee ID, and then from that set of elements, it's gonna pick up the first element, which we only have one, and it's gonna print its value or alert its value, right? So that's basically what is happening when we say search employee. It's just gonna do that. So we learned how to kind of write a JavaScript function and call it and actually log the value. Now let's go to the console where the messages are logged. So let's go ahead to the more tools in Chrome, right, to the developer tools. And here you should basically find that this information, the log, right, which we wrote here, right? So that's another thing. Like ignore these errors. These are just the W3 schools errors. So relax about them. All right, so that's the developer console that we just saw. You can go to here, more tools and developer tools. You can also do Control Shift I to bring it up with a shortcut. Okay, all right, so let's so we have touched a little bit upon style and JavaScript a little bit, right? Now, so let's store this file also as maybe like a 2.html, right? So I'm going to go ahead, create a file called 2.html and save it as well, right? Now let's start like maybe, okay, go back here. Yeah, here. Okay.